Welcome to a new update, and today we're going to dive into Bitcoin again as the big day of the week is approaching, which is CPI. Tomorrow it's the big day, the CPI data comes out. The expectations are relatively low already, so there might be a case that we are not going to have a run up when it comes to CPI, but that we are actually going to correct afterwards. So therefore we are going to do a live stream tomorrow at 2:15 p.m. Central European Time. I'll be going live to navigate you through the actual news that comes out at 2:30. We're going to check what levels are interesting to watch for potential price action, and we're going to look at a case of what we can expect afterwards. And on Friday I'll be making an update which describes the important events for the coming weeks. I saw some people commenting on my health. Yes, my health is not good. That's why I'm moving to Cape Town for 3 months. I'm also going to travel a lot for the coming 2 years to explore life a bit more again, I would suppose, and just chill out and have less responsibilities. So I'm fine. It's going better than what it used to be in the past months, but thanks for the comments. Now, when we're looking at the price action of Bitcoin, it is still uptrending, and we had a big breakout. We have been going into a crucial resistance overall, and tomorrow we've got the CPI data coming up. If you want to know all the data about CPI, and before we continue, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, also check out our free trade letter, and also check out our premium membership. We are launching copy trading within a few weeks, where you can copy trade my portfolio and the trade IDs, and we are up 15R since the end of December, and so it's in 2 weeks. So what we're looking at is investing.com. CPI comes out tomorrow, in which already some CPI numbers came out from a few countries. Yesterday we've had our friends from Brazil, which came out higher than expected. Australia, nothing special. Tomorrow we got the big ones. India's coming out, China's coming out as well. And then at 2:30 p.m. we got CPI jumping in, which is going to be core CPI year to year, month to month, and CPI month to month, year to year. What we get here is that we have to look at the expectations. All right. So what we do see here is that core CPI year to year is expecting us to go to 5.7. And in this case, the past few months we have been beating the CPI numbers. So forecast is relatively low again, and I'm not assuming we're going to beat it in a fast go. If we do, you can actually expect the markets to rally off massively. If we go to the month-to-month version, what we most likely are going to expect that we beat it here and that we go into 0.1 or lower. Especially since the inflation will be falling off a cliff so fast, as last year was the period where we started with the high inflation numbers. So most likely we're going to get a negative number month to month relatively soon. So I'm expecting this one to be beating, and then you get into the CPI year to year version, which is the important one. What do we see? We did see a peak in June of 2022, and we fall off a cliff since. Past month we expected a drop of 0.7%, 0.4 actually since the real number, and we resulted into a beat. Now we are actually expecting us to go down by 0.6% from the real number, which is a huge cliff of the actual numbers. So in that way, it seems likely that we won't be beating this number. If we do, it's probably going to shoot off the markets. If we won't and get to 6.6 or 6.7, we have a slight correction, correct and bounce back up. And then the forecast is a 0.0 for the month to month. And as I said, 1 point, and it's going to be in the next few months, we're going to have a negative number when it comes to the month to month numbers. So the likelihood of this breaking up or actually being lower than expectations, in which the price continue to rally, is relatively low, given that Euro USD is also continuing the grind here and most likely needs some sort of consolidation before it can start continuing the rally. So I'm more or less expecting us to have some sort of correction when it comes to CPI, unless we're going to have a big beat, of course. DXY on the edge of a slight bounce, and there you are, still should be focusing on the yields, which, and all the data still needs to come out, is actually ready to continue falling. So it's very comparable to the structure we had in 2018. The actual top of the yields, which is November 2018, which is here October 2022, was the low for Bitcoin. So since here we started to run quite massively, and in this period actually the market started to have a big bull cycle, but this was mostly pushed by the free money in the QE that took place during this period. But during this period we actually started to run with Bitcoin. Now we also had this peak, we are on the edge of having a fall again, and once we can recall, the actual low was in November and October of 2022, right? So we are currently in the bottoming process of Bitcoin as well, and I'll be discussing that a little bit more in the update from Saturday. What are we looking at when it comes to Bitcoin? I think that this grind is going to give a bit more consolidation before we're going to have a big breakout. I think that the data will finally start to come in, suiting the markets, suiting risk on, which gives us a fake relief rally before the recession starts to kick in. In that way, you clearly want to buy the dip when it comes to the market. So in this point, we can see that we are still consolidating at a crucial resistance for Bitcoin. With CPI coming in, I would not be surprised if we get a theory of running up, taking liquidity, falling back down, and then later we start to continue, in which you're looking at a support around 17k. I think 16.9 is also still a crucial support to look at, but I doubt we're getting that far at this stage, especially since the heat on the markets is getting there. So I'm looking at resistance around 17.5 to 17.7, and I think that those can be providing a short-term correction if we do have a run-up going into CPI. If we don't and we just consolidate and the CPI number comes in lower than expected, yeah, you can see us shoot up towards 18 to 18.2. It's going to be a massive runner, and then we get into the theory of it, or into the ranges that is finally going to bring us back above 20k, and then you can start commenting on a potential bottoming procedure. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the markets for Bitcoin. I'm also looking at a similar case for Ether, which is most likely going to have another breakout as it keeps on making higher lows. If you want to get into a short, which might be potentially the case with CPI coming in, this is the confirmation that you're seeking before you can get into it. And I think that overall, you should be looking at altcoins to buy. Essentially, these are looking like they want to have a massive breakout taking place, and hopefully they do. If they do, they can provide easy 5 to 10x's from here. So that's the update for today. I'll be going into CPI tomorrow during the live stream. I'll be going into altcoins during the weekend. On Friday, we discuss the big events of next week. And on Saturday, we discuss the outlook for Bitcoin for the coming year. Make sure to subscribe, like this YouTube update, and I'll be back tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.